tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, how we doing out there all across this great land of ours and once again around the world where it's prime time somewhere all the time. We're glad to have you with us today at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, and we are so glad you took the time to join us today. And hey, if you were listening last night, I just got to say this. If you were listening last night and you lost us in midstream, we do apologize for that. We had a major technical problem that shut us down for the night. And fortunately, we've gotten it fixed, gotten it taken care of. So we're glad. We just appreciate your patience. Sometimes it happens. You know, live radio, it's kind of like that's what it is. Sometimes things happen, and you're not ready for it. You don't expect it. But anyway, we're glad to be back on the air today. And glad to have you with us. We've got a special guest with us today, Michael Smith. Mike's been on the show with us I think at least one other time. But he's a very articulate, intelligent writer. And we're going to revisit something he wrote actually a couple years ago, but it's so fitting to what we see going on around us today. And so we're going to have him on with us right here after the break. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm doing just grand, John. It's been a fine day. I had to scurry home from work. The wife called up and said, "You gotta get home." And so I got to play with the grandbaby again today, so it was kind of wild. He got to drive his little car and made it go beep beep, and we had some big people food and had just a great time.
Yeah, I saw that car. You know, why didn't it have stuff like that when I was a kid?
I don't know, man. He's got all kind of stuff. I mean, there's tablets and cell phones and just they have all kind of neat little things going on. You know, little toys that roll around by themselves. And
well, I tell you, I'm still dazed and confused. I've got a 6-year-old grandson who comes over here and just confiscates my iPad every time he comes over, and I, for the life of me, have not yet figured out what he does on it. He gets these games on it, and he's just rolling down the road with them, and I'm trying to get him and he's just explaining to me what he's doing, and I'm like, I have no clue. I'm so glad I'm not a father with young kids these days, because if they came home and asked me to help them with their schoolwork, I'd probably be like, yeah, sure. It's the kids today are just so far advanced in their thinking than I was. You know what? I had a Mr. Machine when I was 6 years old, and it took me a week to figure out how to put that thing together. So
it was nice to see him. It's just a reminder why I want to do the show and everything. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, well, it is. It's exactly. You get around the grandkids and stuff, and it reminds you what our purpose is here on the show, why we do what we do, and that's it in a nutshell. I mean, it really is. Anyway, you had something you wanted to open up with us.
Yeah. I mean, since it is the season, and it's the season to keep Hillary out of the White House. And even before the Dems do their little thing, I guess it's next week, they're going to be doing their happy little thing in Philly. So someone sent me this, and I remember reading it in USA Today back in May. And so I thought it was pretty neat. And it's just the juxtaposition between what we espouse all the time and what Hillary Clinton is. So let me just get into this. This is about honor and integrity. So you can tell right there, Hillary's not having this. But Philip Jenkins is an investment banker and entrepreneur, former Marine Corps captain who flew missions in Vietnam, and after leaving the Marine Corps, he flew for Air America in Laos. He won the Pirates Alley Faulkner Society Short Fiction Award in 1998. That's the last century, and has a degree in business admin, and the CEO of Mayfair Capital Partners. He's author of 2 novels and 1 fiction book. He authored this article I'm about to read to you that appeared in 26 May 16, USA Today. All right, and everybody should probably go in and find this thing and read it for themselves. So, the secretary without honor. When I hear people say Clinton's emails do or don't matter, I remember a young Marine captain who owned up to his career ruin and mistake. Apologists for Hillary Clinton alleged criminal mishandling of classified documents say it doesn't matter. Now remember, this was written before the FBI came out with their stuff and everything, so just understand stuff. It sounds like, hey, what are you talking about? This is before that. So mishandling of classified documents say it doesn't matter, that she really did nothing wrong or nothing significant, but the real question is not much what she did as how she responded to being found out. Once during the mid-1960s, when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps, I was the air liaison for a battalion of Marines aboard 11 ships in the Mediterranean. As the air officer and senior captain, I had a rotating responsibility for the nuclear code book, kept in a safe in the operations room of the lead amphibious squadron command ship. I shared that duty with another captain, a squared-away young man, liked by all he commanded, and the son of a very high-ranking Marine. On the day our ships were leaving the Mediterranean, we met the new amphibious squadron near Gibraltar and made preparations to transfer security codes and other sensitive material to the incoming Marine battalion. The young captain was on duty and went to the operations office to pick up the code book. He was alone in the office. He removed the code book and placed it on the desk while closing the safe. In a rushed moment, he stepped across the passageway to reach something he needed from his quarters. Seconds later, he stepped back into the operations office and found the operations sergeant having just entered, looking down at the code book. Against all regulations, the code book had been out of the safe unattended. It mattered not that it was unattended for only a second, that the ship was 5 miles out to sea, or that it was certain no one unauthorized had seen the code. The captain could have explained this to the operations sergeant. He could have told the sergeant that he would take care of it. He could have hinted that his high-ranking dad could smooth it over. But the Marine Corps values are honor, courage, and commitment. Honor is the bedrock of our character. The young captain could not ask the sergeant to portray his duty to report the infraction, no matter how small. Instead, the captain simply said, "Let's go see the colonel." The captain had wanted to be a Marine officer all his life. It was the only career he ever wanted. When he reported the incident to the colonel, he knew he was jeopardizing his life's dream, but he did it. The results went by the book. The amphibious squadron stood down. Military couriers flew in from NATO. The codes were changed all over Europe. The battalion was a day late in leaving the Mediterranean. The captain, Leonard F. Chapman III, received a letter of reprimand, damaging his career. He stayed in the Corps and died in a tragic accident aboard another ship. And for those interested, Captain Chapman's father was General Leonard F. Chapman Jr., former commandant of the Marine Corps.
Wow.
He goes on to say, "I saw some heroic acts in combat in Vietnam, things that made me proud to be an American and a Marine. But that young captain stood for what makes our country, our Corps and our country great." Clinton is the antithesis of that young captain. Right. Someone with no honor, little courage, and commitment only to her endless ambition. This has nothing to do with gender, party affiliation, ideology, or policy. It's a question of character, not just hers, but ours. Electing Clinton would mean abandoning, holding people accountable for grievous errors of integrity and responsibility. What we already know about her security infractions should disqualify her for any government position that deals with information critical to mission success, domestic or foreign. But beyond that, her responses to being found out, dismissing its importance, claiming ignorance, blaming others, indict her beyond anything the investigation can reveal. Those elements reveal her character. And the saddest thing is that so many in America seem not to care. Absolutely. Philip Jenkins, 26 May 2016, USA Today.
Wow. Yeah, and here we are. Here we are with the possibility, at this point, a 50-50 chance that the person sitting in the White House come January of next year has, in one way or another, compromised security, and we have no idea to what degree, to what depth, and how that will play out. And the worst case scenario we're looking at is that one day this country is overtaken, and we find out later on it was due to some classified information that got in the hands of the right people that knew how to use it against us. And it's amazing to me, but how different it is from the time, just being in the military in the last 10 years.
It's way different.
It's just phenomenal. It's just I don't have words for it anymore. You and I both served in the military, and the honor and integrity was everything. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. I don't care what else you claim to be or what else you claim to know. If you don't know if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and know, I've done everything the way I'm supposed to do it, or at least to be able to admit when you've done it wrong, one or the other. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
The only person can ever give away your honor and integrity is yourself.
Yeah.
No one can take it from you. You have to give it away.
That's right. All right, that was great. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have Michael Smith with us, and we'll get into a discussion here. Very interesting discussion, something more people need to understand, and that is progressivism, what it is and how it has come about, and the way it's taken form and the shape in this country today. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
At theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish, call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back again. We're having a great day, and it must be the day for authors today. We have with us today Mr. Michael Smith. Michael wrote this thing here, American Progressivism, Roots of the Frankfurt and English Historical Schools. He wrote this back in December 2014, and at that time, Michael bought himself a classical liberal, a student of John Locke, a lover of life and liberty. He was currently the COO of a company working in the upstream oil and gas, scientific and research and military subsidy markets after 33 years of managing manufacturing businesses, aerospace, defense, transportation, construction equipment, and subsidy exploration and production. And his favorite quote here was the epitaph, the Scottish king and liberator Robert the Bruce, a noble heart may have a name, ease gift, freedom fail ye. A noble heart cannot rest if freedom fails. Michael, are you with us today, sir?
I am, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me on again.
Good, brother. Hey, what are you up to here? Because this I'm reading is almost going on 2 years old. So what's up with you, man?
Well, as I was reading your description of me, what I wrote there, it sounds like I can't hold down a job. So, but no, just same old. Still in the same businesses, still managing a company, and actually going through some acquisition phases of some different businesses right now, trying to grow our business. So it's been a busy time over the last little bit. Hadn't had a lot of time to write or do much of anything I really enjoy. So.
Yeah, it's amazing how work gets in the way of having fun, huh?
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, so I think this is pretty appropriate. As next week we're going to hear all about American progressivism. Absolutely, I think it's going to be out there in front of us, in our face, and I don't know. I'll probably have to. Take those pills you take when you're car sick and stuff. So I keep throwing up all the time, probably. But we had discussed this a little while back here on the show about who stole our culture, and then and a lot of that hit on the details you had in this. So if you could, you want to kind of just give us a little.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really kind of dovetails into your opening monologue there, where you were talking about Hillary. And, the one thing that I found frustrating about politics, particularly over the last 30 years or so, is that when you look at certain people involved in politics, it's very difficult to understand their value system. I mean, you look at the things that the Clintons have done, that the progressive movement, the guys like John Kerry. I mean, and you use terms like honor, integrity. And they do have honor and integrity. They just define those terms very, very differently to what we define them as. Basically, I wrote about the Frankfurt School because I think it's significantly important for people to understand where these things come from. I mean, why these people got to where they are, and because that learning and that education and that upbringing and that philosophy drives a lot of their adult behaviors. And if you think about our side of the ledger from the standpoint of classical liberalism, and when I use classical liberalism, most people think of that as conservatism now, but most people, some of the younger people in the audience may not know that liberals in the U.S. are not the same as liberals in Europe and in the U.K. Liberals took on the name liberal because progressive wasn't working out really well for them, and they changed to progressive because communism wasn't working out really well for them. So our ideology doesn't have to be rebranded to sell it and repackage it to the populace. Whereas the Marxist influences, the progressivism, the liberalism of today, all that stuff has to be repackaged and renamed. It's like if you're gonna put an ad in the paper for a job and it's going to be shoveling manure out of a barn, if you call it Chief Manual Lifting Mechanism Manipulator, chances are you're probably going to get more applications for that than you are if you tell people what it really is. So it is one of those kind of situations where it's been rebranded. But progressivism really has its roots back in the late 1800s. It's an offshoot of really pure Marxism, was developed by Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx, and it got started in the U.S. and probably reached its zenith as progressivism with Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson was one of the most racist, Constitution-hating presidents, except for the one that we have right now.
Yeah,
of any president that we've ever had.
I was going to say probably the zenith might have been like about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. They had some pretty tough times in the early 1900s with Woodrow Wilson, though. But long story short, what it really boils down to is that these guys have. They really have only two driving premises in what progressivism really means, and that's there's no liberty or freedom except what the state's willing to give you.
Yeah.
And there's only the state and the supremacy of the will of the collective. And once you know those two things, and I can guarantee you, if you listen next week at the Democratic National Convention, if you could stand to do that, you'll hear those themes coming through in almost every speech that'll be given next week. It will be couched in flowery language.
Just very, very timely that we kind of, because we were just talking about basically the liberal doublespeak that we keep hearing all the time. This is very this is something that people need to look out for, and again, like you were saying, we need to understand the roots of this, so you can kind of get a foundation, a bedrock, so to speak, so you can go ahead and build upon it. Then.
Yep. Absolutely, and like I said, it's important to understand the root motivation so you can understand what the act, because they're not going to be clear about what their motives and what their end goals are, and you have to really learn to read between the lines with these guys. And once you have the historical context, it's much easier to do that.
Yeah, and juxtapose it against our founding documents like the Declaration of Independence and basically the preamble to the Constitution, which talks about freedom and liberty, and it talks about the people, not the state.
Oh, absolutely. Those two things that I just said, if you contrast those with the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, you can actually see the clear, clean dividing line between the two ideologies.
Yeah. Hey, John, I think John has a comment. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, sure.
Here, brother.
Yeah, Michael, I'm looking here. As I'm reading through your article again, I've read through it several times, and every time I read it, I draw something a little different out of it. And I'm looking at a paragraph here, if I can just read this paragraph, because it very much, it so much intertwines with actually the mission of what the Conservative Syndicate is about, what we do, why we do the show here. It says here, you wrote down here, there are no abstract principles in politics. The English school taught that politics were intertwined with human evolution, and that because of that proposition, political thought can only be understood in historical context, and that each age or epoch derives its own definition of freedoms and rights. Since they do, there are no such things as natural rights, only those rights that man gives himself through government. And one of the things that we do, I get the mission, but people ask me, what do you do? What's the purpose of your show? And I say it is to tear down what I call the imaginary wall of separation between church and state, because I do not believe that politics and religion can exist apart from each other. And in cases where we've seen that, we see oppression and tyranny. And so I'm just wondering, how do you see the relationship between religion and politics, or morality? You could say perhaps morality and politics.
Well, I mean, even I think religion is a fair term when you're talking about that, John. I mean, I wrote a piece not too long ago that was actually, I think it might have even been last week, that I titled "The Five," and that's the name of it. And really, I found in my study of history and my study of civilizations, there's really 5 things that determine whether or not a civilization is successful or not. And the very first thing is a common theism. I mean, and that's religion, that's morality, that's however you want to define that. Running through those civilizations are a common theism that's shared by the people that make up that civilization, because in order for a unified civilization to survive challenges from other competing civilizations, I mean, we are competing with an Islamic challenge right now. I mean, on a spiritual level. And in order for us to be able to combat that, and for countries to be able to stand against that kind of assault, it has to be, we have to be of one mind and one spirit, whatever you want to call it. Religion, using the term religion tends to turn people off when you start talking about religion. But if it's a common belief system, it's a common morality, it's a common methodology of mores and societal conventions that drive us to do things the way we do them, and everybody knows how everybody within the civilization knows what to expect. I think it is critically important. In my mind, from the 5 things that I laid out was a common theism, a common ideology, a common culture, a love of the above 3, and a willingness to defend all of the above with deadly force and fight to the death if necessary. I mean, if you look at the successful civilizations of history, they've all had those 5 things. And in my mind, from the standpoint of the United States, I mean, those 5 things have been Christianity, the classical liberalism of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the unique ability of America to assimilate the best of the world's cultures and basically create a singular American culture out of it. Mm-hmm. The nationalism and patriotism bound by American exceptionalism. I mean, we have to believe that we are the best in the world. And then the willingness to expend our treasure and give the ultimate sacrifice of American lives to defend everything above that on the list. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's such a critical component to being able to, if you can't unite a nation or a country spiritually, you'll never be able to do it through legislation. You'll never be able to do it through really any human means to keep everything together. And that's really one of the failings that I see, and one of the reasons that I think we're kind of, sometimes it seems we're coming apart at the seams, is the fact that we don't have that unity anymore. There are people in the United States who do not love this country, and not even don't love it, just don't even care about it.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't be bothered. You got more people chasing Pokemon right now than you do have that are concerned about the next election.
Yeah, and that's the effects of culture, the culture being destroyed, which is one of the tenets of this progressive movements throughout the last 100 or so years now. Well, they've wanted to get our culture,
and if you want to look at it from the opposite view, if you look at what people want to eliminate in a culture, that'll tell you the things they're afraid of. Mm-hmm. One of the things that Karl Marx pushed for communism, global communism, to be successful was the elimination of religion.
Absolutely. It was the first thing he would want to go after.
The very first thing he said is there can only be loyalty, there can only be fealty, there can only be service to the state. There cannot be a higher authority than the state, because if there is, then I cannot unify, I cannot join everybody together under the flag of communism.
Yep. Absolutely.
Between communism or between the elimination of religion and the elimination of private property. Those two things right there take every reason for an individual to want to succeed, to achieve, to actually make something of themselves. You take those two things away, and that's it.
Well, that's basically
the other thing you get into if you strip the belief system away from a country is that there's no hope for the future. And that's exactly what progressivism tries to drive you into. Live for today, live for tomorrow. Don't worry about 5 years from now. We'll give you enough to take care of you today, and that's it.
Okay.
If a spiritual person is concerned about their children, the future, what the country's going to be, 100 years from now, not what it's going to have to be tomorrow.
Yeah. So on that bright note, Michael, we're going to have to go to a break.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay.
You got me started. You got me cranked up.
I know. That's okay. That's good. So we'll continue we'll calm you down a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll pick it back up after the break then. So
Great.
be right
Thanks,
back,
guys.
folks.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at nature'syouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or nature'syouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world. Then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Joe Hakos with John Matthews and that classical liberal, our guest, Michael Smith. Now, please, everybody, go to our website where you can hear all our archives. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. If you don't go there, we're going to send our minions out and we'll make you listen to Barack Obama's greatest speeches, the same CDs he gave Queen Elizabeth. So please go to our website and listen to the archives and share them with your friends. So, Michael, we were talking before, and a couple of things you were saying there struck a nerve with me. Is basically this progressivism or liberalism as we know it today basically went at the basic bedrock tenets of our founding, that being life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and basically that you get nothing, that you'll get all those things through the state, not through your own individuality or hard work.
No, that's absolutely true, and really what you get, I mean, I started off by mentioning your intro on Hillary, and one of the reasons that you run into problems, and you probably can tell progressivism is not a favorite. It's not a favorite of mine. Probably second only to postmodernism. But when you think about it, our founding of our country we were founded on universal transcendental principles. I mean, when you look at the universality of the principles under the founding of liberty, the pursuit of happiness, life, I mean, those things are transcendent. And there's certain things that flow from them that, our God-given rights to protect ourselves, private property, the right to bear arms, so many things that are really just universal, transcendent principles. If you look at it from the progressive side, the progressive says there's nothing but reality is only what I perceive it to be. So therefore, the only rules that apply are the rules that I make today. And that's why when I said earlier that Hillary has a different definition of integrity and honesty, she honestly, I mean, the progressives that I've had interaction with directly over the years honestly believe that they are doing the right thing. But in the grand scheme of things, what it really boils down to is they have no universal principles. Again, that's another reason that Marx hated religion, is because he wanted to substitute the rule of the state for God's law, and he didn't want any other system that was stronger than the state-imposed system. And it is when you think about the end product of progressive ideology, it is so fatalistic, it is so limiting to the individual that it's just not even. I mean, it is completely antithetical to the founding of the United States, and there's just no possibility that it can ever be, part of the mainline American thought. And that's simply why we're having so many of the problems that we're having right now. It's not that our Constitution is bad. It's just that we're using it wrong. I mean, it's like trying to change a tire with a frying pan, or trying to fry an egg with a lug wrench.
Yeah,
we're using the wrong tools.
Or we're just not even trying to use it, and that could be.
Are we not even using it? We ignore it.
Yes, I think what we're going to say when we hear lines like, "If you have a great company, you didn't build that," that kind of thing is because Right. You weren't allowed to do that. Hey, John had a comment about classical liberalism. Go ahead, John.
Well, yeah, actually, Micah, you kind of answered what I was going to follow up here. I understand that when we talk about classical liberalism, in the purest sense of the word and what it originally meant, classical liberalism would be pretty much what we would equate to the word conservatism today, in the fact that the individual was the most valuable. And but with conservatism, of course, individuality, with that comes responsibility and accountability. Whereas the classic liberalism that we understand, if I'm academically speaking here, and has evolved into the individual is king, but only as long as he adheres to the collective. And right. so there's that mutation that has brought us to this place where biblical principles, the Bible, the Constitution, the Declaration, have to be, as you said, set off to the side and just disregarded. It's something we float up there. We say, okay, a man has the right to marry another man. It's a constitutional right. No definition in the Constitution for that, and it certainly was never intended. But we can use that word. And then that's where the liberal doublespeak comes in. And we can call something constitutional. We can legislate immorality and call it constitutional. Whereas an actual conservative would say, no, individuality, individual responsibility and accountability mandates that you set barriers out there and you say, okay, this is legal within the context of the moral, natural law that God established. But if we go beyond that, we're breaking the law. We're breaking the Constitution and everything. And therefore, we have to put it upon ourselves to subject ourselves to that type of limitation. Is that making sense?
No, it makes absolute sense. And I mean, you hit on a very strong point there that needs to be expanded a little bit, and that is that progressivism is constantly at war with natural law. When I say natural law, I mean, if you go back and you read the scriptures and you go through the Bible, I mean, the Bible is basically a volume of human behavior based on natural law. Mm-hmm. Our country was founded on natural laws. And there are, I mean, whether we want to deny it or not, a man will never become a woman. I mean, it just never will happen because, I mean, they may mentally convince themselves that that's what they are, but it'll never happen. It's an anachronism. It's an abomination. I mean, doesn't mean they're not good people. It's just from the standpoint of natural law, it just cannot happen. And that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about universal transcendent principles. Those are natural law principles. I mean, one of the aspects of classical liberalism that I like to remind people about too is that classical liberals also believe in economic freedom. That we believe that economic freedom is directly related to individual freedom. The more economic freedom you have, the more individual freedom you're going to have. So there's that tie. There's the tie to natural law. It is really the most simple and most likely the most boring ideology to understand. I mean, because it is about individual freedom, doing the things you want to do, and that doesn't mean the liberals of the '60s and the progressives before them. You know, basically their theology was, if it feels good, do it.
Right.
Well, our theology is, if it feels good, do it, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where classical liberalism starts to border on libertarianism, but there's a fine line. There's a lot of commonality between the two. So, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we believe in a set of universal principles that exist outside of the halls of Congress, for example.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I mean, that is a biblical principle that we deal with every single day. And if we were governed by that, rather than having a law enforce us to do certain things, then you're going to have a much better society. You're going to have a much more equitable economy. I mean, there's just going to be things that operate smoothly.
Yeah, I have a very close friend who once described me. We were talking one time about the difference between progressives and libertarians and conservatives, and I think he came up with, probably in my mind, one of the best definitions. He said, to the libertarian, the individual is God, and to the progressive, the collective is God, but both battle against the real God.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So you were talking before, and I think part of this is what we see is that as far as culture goes, whoever can write the history will be able to create the future then, basically, because we're supposed to learn from our past. And I got a feeling that, and one of the things that has been destroying our cultures is the overtake of our education system by the progressives throughout the last 100, especially the last 60 years. Anyway, that we've seen these folks taking over our academia, and so I mean we've got women's gender studies, all these studies courses that do absolutely nothing to create well-being in our society.
No, and they're all based on relativity. I mean, they're all based on, again, as I mentioned earlier, the principle of it feels good, do it. I mean, if you look at 90% of that, there's not really any science, there's not really any scholarship, there's not really any, there's just no real knowledge there. And a lot of time we mistake people who have credentials for people who are wise. And just because I have a diploma doesn't necessarily mean I know anything.
Yeah, well, yes. In fact, I told someone today that just because someone goes to school for a lot longer than here I did doesn't make them any smarter. Hey, on that note, though, we got to take a nice short break here, Michael, and so we'll be right back. Joe Hakos.
All right, great.
John Matthews with Michael Smith here on the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back, folks.
All our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Glad you could come back with us. Remember, visit our website for the archives here. I'm looking at something here, just one of these little memes that you pick up here as on the breaks. Clintons don't have skeletons in their closet; they have whole cemeteries. So, on that note, hey, Michael, we've been talking about what we're going to see next week at the Democratic Convention. We know it's just going to be a progressive festival and orgy. So, hey, what about a counter strategy? What can we do to combat this and maybe get us back on the track to how we were founded and righteousness? Because we know that the other side is never going to work. Check Venezuela if you want to see how the path where that leads to.
Yeah, feel the burn, right? I mean, that's if you want to know what would happen under a Bernie Sanders administration, go look at Venezuela right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really tough question. I mean, that's a really tough question. I mean, John brought up a good point earlier, and a lot of it is a lot of the way back, I think, is actually rooted in religion and returning to a faith to God. And I mean, it's a really I keep telling people that want a quick fix, there is no such thing as a quick fix. I mean, it took us 150 years to get here. It'll take us at least that to get all the way out of it again. But you got to start at some point. I mean, one of the things that I've tried to do with friends of mine and with my kids and teaching them, bringing them up into adulthood, is that I've tried to teach them to recognize the contradictions in proposals. When people tell them things, look for the contradictions. And one of the greatest contradictions, one of the ideology that's filled with contradictions, is progressivism. And if you've got something that contradicts itself, there's no way it can survive. I mean, that is just a law of nature itself.
Yeah.
And if you think about progressivism, what progressivism promises is, hey, you can only experience total freedom when you're totally controlled by the government and everything's taken care of for you.
Yeah.
And it makes absolutely no, if you think about it in that context, it makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely no sense. You can't live that way.
No, you can't. And who would want to?
Well,
I mean, obviously there's some people that believe you can do that. But
well, obviously, because I think there's some people that that don't know any other way. They've lived under oppression all their lives, and that's all they know. So if freedom and liberty hit them smack dab in the face, they don't know what to do. I would say an example of that would be our friends in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Yeah, well, even to a large extent, even both the legal and probably not so much the legal, but the illegal immigrants crossing the U.S.-Mexican border. I mean, they come from a socialist system.
Yeah,
and that's all they really know. And it is a generational fight. I mean, that's the good news is it can be won. The bad news is it is a generational fight, and it's something that's going to take us a long time to do. But the longer we wait, I almost think that you even hate to think this way, but you almost think that you'd need to let it go until it just until the whole thing burns down and then start again. But nobody really wants to do that. But it is rooted in understanding that the comeback is rooted in the understanding that there are such things as universal truths. There are such things as transcendent principles. There are such things as natural laws, and spirituality is a huge part of it.
Well, yeah, you have to have something to hope for and give you hope other than the only hope you ever get is from the government. Or the state. I mean, that just will never work because the state is such a fleeting thing. When this selected class or group is no longer favored, they will be set aside to another favored class or group, and so it just keeps on shifting. It's shifting sands. It's a foundation of shifting sand, and so you will never get anywhere that way. And I don't see how people. And we're going to see that next week.
Yep, you will. You will. I mean, you're going to see basically people who will say anything or do anything to get your vote, and the only universal principle a progressive believes in is power. I mean, that is the only universal principle that they believe in, and that's the acquisition and the maintenance of power, because that's the only way that they can. That's the only way a progressive administration can maintain control is through coercion.
Yeah, because people will wake up, and when they do, it's not a pretty sight. And then you have uprisings, and then I mean uprisings. I don't mean the stuff we're seeing in the streets today.
Yeah,
that's totally just anarchy, and that's what the 1%ers wants, and that's going to your point where they want it all burned on, and so we can start again. It'd be more as to the French Revolution as opposed to the American Revolution, and we certainly don't need that. We've been down that road with our own problems there in the mid 1800s, and we don't want to go through that anymore. I thought we fixed that kind of situation, but we've gone back to more conquer kind of deal, and we should try to be more unified. I'd like to think people need to start again, as you said before, American essentialism. Let's have that. We should just tout that and present it every single day.
Yeah. Well, if you look at if you really look at through history, you'll find that 99% of the time, Marxism, communism, progressivism is typically a disease suffered mostly in prosperous societies. I mean, when you don't have to, the further you get away from living in a kind of a natural state where you understand where food comes from, for example.
Yeah.
You know that you know that there's something else other than going to the grocery store and buying corn or beef or whatever. You understand the process how it gets there.
Yeah. So
the further away you get from that, and the more life of ease you get into, then the easier it is for a progressive to come in and say, well, you know what? I'll just give you a little bit more, and the government will take care of it. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
So, in other words, further away from the big industrial complex cities and everything, the less likely the chance of this progressive communistic whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's why you see the center of the U.S. and the Bible Belt rarely ever goes for a progressive. I mean, the majority of the votes in the counties outlying, even in like Ohio and the outlying counties around some of the larger cities they're not blue counties, they're red counties. They're classical liberalism, they're republicanism. I mean, they're just not going to go for that kind of stuff because they understand it. They understand the failings of it.
Yeah, and they understand what it takes to get along in life. Hard work, dedication, personal sacrifice, personal accountability. Hey, John, let's see. John's going to want to pop in here, but real quick, Michael, I know you've been busy, but do you got anything you want to give the listeners? Anything exciting to go ahead and find out more about what you got going on? Do you still have your website up and going?
I've still got a second and third book coming out whenever I can sit down one time and have to finish the edits on everything. Hopefully here by the end of the year, I'll have 2 new books out. One in a continuing series, and the other one will be something a little bit different from what I've done in the past, more of a period piece with some history built into it, personal and U.S. history. So look for some new projects coming out within the next 6 months or so.
And they'll be able to find those where? Any websites?
They'll be actually on either my website or they'll be available on Amazon.com as well.
Amazon. So what's your website again?
It's www.therionorteline.com.
Yeah, there you go. therionorteline.com. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, thanks, Michael. I really appreciate you coming on here tonight, and it's a good primer for next week's Fun in Philadelphia. And so, again, folks, go visit the Rio Norte line so you can see Michael's stuff. And, John, let's go ahead and wrap it up for this hour then.
Okay. Well, once again, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a really busy guy, so we do appreciate when people take time to come on our show. And I wish you the best. We got to have you back. I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, geez, I wish I had like 4 more hours here.
Well, listen, John, when you get me wound up, it's really hard to stop. I appreciate the opportunity to come on because, beyond what we do every day for work, this is important stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things that we do things to work to make money to survive, but the future depends on what we do from a political standpoint, a philosophical standpoint. And that really drives everything, and people need to understand that there's a better way to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. We will have you back. I'll have Joe bugging you every now and then just to, because I know we'll fit you in wherever we can.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, God bless you, man. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, John. God bless you guys. Talk to you. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Yep. Okay, guys, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. Time for the Edwards Notebook, and then we'll pay some bills, and we'll get in. We got some more stuff for you. Next hour is going to be just as good as this one. We got a lot of stuff for you. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Between President Obama and Mrs. Clinton, America is in a very dangerous position. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it's bad enough that President Obama has whittled down our one-time totally superior military to levels below that of before World War II. During the period of time Ali Obama took to dismantle America's military prowess, highly competitive nations like China, Russia, North Korea, and even Iran have built up their militaries that now dwarf our one-time vastly superior armed forces. When one considers Mrs. Clinton's rampant mishandling of thousands of emails, at least 100 of which were classified and were most likely hacked and acquired by enemy nations and even terrorist groups, the FBI director chose to give Mrs. Clinton a pass despite what he described as gross negligence.
But I have a big problem with that because in this case of gross negligence, our republic could be more vulnerable than ever to the blackmailing of American political figures and undetected military aggression. That should have been given more consideration, considering the fact that Mrs. Clinton could be chosen as leader of the free world. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. Hey,
all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
Okay, here we are, hour two of the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Akos. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that first hour with Michael Smith. I like listening to this guy. I just like the way he presents himself and the information that he shares. I just wish his schedule would allow for him to become one of our regular contributors. I would really like to have this guy around a lot. Just a good all around person, knows exactly what he's talking about. I'm totally impressed with the guy, Joe.
Well, like I said in the chat, we used to have some really spirited sessions with our local liberals here when Michael used to live around here. It was pretty fun to watch and read, and his website is outstanding. Good stuff on point. So hey, it's just if you want to get educated, Mike was a guy to go ahead and read up and check his stuff out for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll have to put a link to his website on our website, the Conservative Syndicate. I've got a resource page right at the bottom of our homepage where we put what we feel to believe good resources. We'll have to get his link up there sometime in the next day or so. And you were talking about the convention coming up next week for the Democrats. We're halfway through, or a little more than halfway through the Republican National Convention, which I want to talk a little bit about a little bit later. But the Democrats are coming up, and it's funny. I saw this piece out here during the break, just floating out in cyberspace the way I do, just to see if anything's breaking, Yeah. And they've got kind of a line, and they're already giving some of the main speakers. Bernie Sanders has landed a keynote speaker spot, so he's going to be one of the major speakers there. And I guess that would be to pacify all those people that are trying to figure out whether they're actually going to turn out and vote this time or not, because Bernie didn't get the nomination. But the list, from what I'm reading so far, is like a who's list of the establishment of the Democrats. Bill Clinton is going to be a speaker. Chelsea Clinton is going to be a speaker. Barack Obama is going to be a speaker. Joe Biden is going to be a speaker. I mean, this is going to be, why don't we just put everything on rewind? These guys don't have to show up. Let's just all go to YouTube and punch in the names, and you'll know ahead of time what's going to be said. And how it's going to be delivered I don't know how is this going to excite anybody. I can't imagine anybody but just the dumbest of the dumb going there and saying, let's all hold up our signs, I'm with her, that kind of thing. I don't know.
I just don't see but we don't understand. We don't think that way, John. We don't we actually use our brains for something else, and we keep our heads from imploding.
Yeah.
So these people are just there, and they're going to continue on, and they're going to go with their same old tired rhetoric. They're not going to. They're going to. What's their big thing today? The media's out there just being typical media. They have nothing of substance to criticize Republicans on in their convention, except for Trump's wife's speech, and it's like, are you kidding me? It's a non-story. No one cares. She's not sitting in the Oval Office. She's not going to be doing anything. She's sitting there, and that's what they have. So you know for a fact they have nothing.
No,
there's nothing.
No,
substance with them.
For the first time last night, I watched some of the RNC Convention. I watched maybe an hour of it, waiting for my shows to come on. I have shows I watch in the evening, and they are like religion to me. So nothing interrupts these shows. But I watched about an hour yesterday. I caught Chris Christie's speech, Paul Ryan's speech, Asa Hutchinson,
I saw that one.
Yeah, the governor of Arkansas, and Rutledge. I forget her first name. The first female Republican Attorney General of Arkansas.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and then I went to bed.
Yeah, and then I watched what was the? Oh, anyway, I think those were Tiffany Trump. I listened to the youngest daughter. Actually, very articulate young lady. I was kind of taken back. She, very articulate lady, and very, very calm demeanor. Delivered her lines well. You know, she said she was nervous. I didn't detect any nervousness at all. But she basically just talked about Trump, you know, like a dad. This is my dad. This is who he is. This is how he thinks, and you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that's what we're going to get from Chelsea. We're going to talk about
what we're going to see next week. This week we see veterans. This week we see people, families of veterans, families that had their sons and daughters killed by either illegal aliens or killed in Benghazi because of the failures of the current administration, along with Hillary Clinton. And next week, what are we going to see? We're going to see people, quote unquote, families of people killed by police.
Right. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. And they're also going to have. They're going to have, I'm sure, more than one. I know of one already that they mentioned here. Illegal immigrants, people that are here illegally.
Yes, who should be automatically rounded up and deported while they're on stage.
Oh, and they're going to. These are illegals here in the United States running community organizations for illegals.
And knowing that the security that it takes to get into the Republican convention, I'm sure it's going to be similar for the Democratic convention. So what kind of ID do these people show?
Yeah. Well, they're going to have...
my name is John Smith, and you're a female, and you look like you're from Mexico City.
Yeah, they're going to have, of course, Michelle Obama. So we'll have to wait and see if she lifts any lines from Melania Trump's speech. And then Astrid Silva.
She'll continue to be proud of her nation.
Yeah. Astrid Silva, who is a prominent immigration activist, but is here illegally. And the theme of the...
be there? Would Julian Castro be there?
Well, the Castro brothers will be there. Of course, no relation to Fidel, as far as we know. But the theme of the night is going to be great. United together. Okay,
yeah, united together in what?
Anyway, hey, we got it. This is our short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about. It has to do with Barack Obama being one of the speakers at their conference next week. There's a point I want to make of this. I hate talking about this guy, but there's something going on in the media right now that we have to pay attention to, because it's only going to magnify in the next 5 months. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Right now, time for Moments of Madness. Today on Moments of Madness. FBI Director James Comey's decision to avoid displacing Donald Trump as America's #1 racist sexist by choosing not to recommend criminal charges for gross negligence be brought against presumptive presidential nominee Hillary Clinton may indeed be mystifying and confusing to House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and other Republican members of the committee. Given the GOP's disconnect with their constituents, it is not all that surprising. Likewise, among constituents who argued term limits is the only answer for complacency that breeds corruption, Comey's sidestepping of the obvious by responding Clinton may not have been sophisticated enough to recognize she was breaking the law in response to members of the committee like North Carolina's Representative Mark Meadows, who stated as someone who has only been here a few years, he recognizes and understands the importance of classified markings, along with Wyoming's Cynthia Loomis's bewildering comment, how could she not know this stuff? Coupled with South Carolina's Trey Gowdy's assertion, Clinton perjured herself on enough occasions means to establish willful intent and hiding treasonous malfeasance is as frustrating as it gets. But all this bewilderment, wonder, and frustration is not as befuddling as GOP operatives are expressing or the media lapdogs want us to believe. Comey's decision really should not surprise anyone who spends any time surveying the toxic cloud that hangs over Washington, D.C., like discolored smog encompassing Los Angeles after too many days without rain to cleanse the air. Comey's presumption, no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case against Clinton based on the historical precedent. No one has been prosecuted in nearly a century under the definition of the statute Clinton may have violated, is rightfully recognized as the weakest of excuses, especially when challenged by committee members who stated they knew plenty of attorneys who would take the case. But when placed in context by qualifying it during the hearing, no prosecutor for the Justice Department would take on such a case, it becomes quite understandable. Who would agree to put their employer on trial, especially this employer? Agreeing to prosecute Hillary Clinton would place America's first half-white president squarely in the crosshairs of his opponents, as he would certainly be interviewed and even possibly asked to testify. This puts at risk the legacy of Obama, who for all intended purposes headed to world domination at the UN after he leaves office next year. Such circumstances may not prevent Obama from eventually touting his hope and change globalization agenda as the way to unify the world's tyrants, but it might delay it. Does anyone really think in today's political reality any attorney hoping to make a career in political law would risk their future taking on their current boss, much less face the prospect of having to deal with their future boss, one who has a history of destroying everything she lays her hand to, including the long list of those who no longer dwell on this earth due to their association with the Clintons? Can we really blame FBI Director Comey to suddenly give a hoot about politics? Here's the madness. Just as the Committee on Benghazi muffed bringing justice to the families of those killed in Benghazi by focusing on stand-down orders that may or may not have been given or may not have saved lives, instead of focusing on the gun running to Syrian dissidents that would have better revealed the intent of Obama's refusing to act for fear of reprisal in the 2012 election, the House Oversight Committee will focus on perjury charges that will only lead back to a subjective argument of intent, one guaranteed to just make the GOP look even more politically inept. Of much more concern to the committee should be Comey's assessment of Hillary's qualifications. Comey testified before the Oversight Committee his unwillingness to recommend indicting Clinton was more guided by his perception her understanding of protocol and recognition of classified information may have lacked the sophistication necessary in the handling of such information. In other words, the intent her opponents want established is canceled out by her lack of knowledge in regard to what she knew and did not know. Whether or not this assessment is true or accurate is inconsequential. Comey's assessment is a double-edged sword that, if brandished properly, would cut both ways in the court of public opinion, the only court at this point that matters. Continuing to disseminate Comey's remarks on Clinton's lack of sophistication through ads and weekend circuit soundbites will force Clinton to eventually admit one of two truths. Either she is sophisticated enough to know how to handle classified information, which would in turn validate the charge of perjury and establish intent to hide the truth, or support the contention she'd be disqualified for office if she and her supporters continue to claim she simply believed she did nothing wrong. Comey's presumption she lacks knowledge becomes a damning argument against the experience accredited to her 4+ decades in public service. In his speech, the last lecture, given at Carnegie Mellon University in 2008 and later expounded upon in his book by the same name, computer science professor Randy Pausch stated, "Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want." If Pausch's contention is true, then perhaps Hillary Clinton is indeed the most qualified person ever to run for political office. No one has done less longer than anyone else and has nothing to show for it. Hillary Clinton's tenure in politics can be best defined as doing the same thing over and over many times rather than producing results over many years of effort. In other words, Hillary Clinton actually has 1 year of experience 40+ times rather than 40+ years in public service. Her sophistication or lack of it is the most compelling choice before voters today. But alas, at this juncture, the most important question Clinton puts before the electorate is, at this point, what difference does it make? This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. Okay, hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk. From Real Conservatives, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, if you want to pick up an archive of this show or any of our shows. Find out anything you want to know about our panel and why we do what we do. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. Okay, I'm stammering here. Joe sent me a link during the break here, and it actually is perfect for what I want to interject into the dialogue right now. Okay. Apparently, there's a university over there by Cleveland where the convention is being held, the Republican convention right now. What's the name of this university?
Case Western Reserve University.
Okay. All right. And apparently they are so intimidated by what's going on at the Republican convention that they have decided to close the campus down for a week.
That's just ridiculous. You pay $60,000 a year in tuition to go to this school, and the students are so traumatized by the Republicans having a convention in Cleveland that they have to, after extensive consultation among our leadership team and discussion in last week's open forums, we decided that the university will reduce its on-campus operations significantly from Monday, July 18th, through the close of the convention on Thursday, July 21st.
Yeah, well, you know what it is. It's having to get up at 10 o'clock in the morning and stroll down to the nearest Starbucks, only to find it infiltrated with people in cowboy hats and American flags.
Oh, my goodness.
Instead of G-strings and rainbow flags.
Oh, my goodness. And the horror of it all. The University Council Services will continue to offer walk-in services for students who want to talk with someone about their concerns related to recent events and or the upcoming convention.
I noticed what struck me in the article was that they're particularly concerned about the LGBT crowd. There's something in here. Let's see, what was I looking at here? Yeah, here it is. In addition to the Social Justice Institute's Safe Space, which is co-hosted by Case Western's LGBT Center, the school's Interreligious Council also will house a safe space for those who want to talk or reflect about their concerns. Okay, I don't even know what that means. But apparently you've got a safe space co-hosted by the LGBT Center, who is working with the Interreligious Council, who also has a safe space for anybody that's freaking out that we got so many Republicans running around Cleveland.
This is so funny. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the Daily Caller. Eric Owens wrote this piece, and I'm reading on further down on this thing, and it says Case Western Reserve will, quote unquote, will be ground zero for the stormtroopers you will watch on national news next week. Unidentified professor rants in the 13 July piece in Belt magazine. When the university realized that this might not be the wisest thing for an institution of higher learning to do, they opted for the solution I'm sure any of us will choose. They decided to take a break for 1 week only from being an institution of higher learning.
Oh, my goodness.
This is like, why are these people really? Are you going to be a wuss all your life? My goodness, the Republicans are having a convention. You can't even get near it. The security perimeter is like a mile before you ever get to the queue, the Quickens Arena, and you're afraid of it.
I'll tell you this. If you are dumb enough to send your child to a university that you pay $60,000 a year for them to attend, and you're worried about them being infiltrated, or I guess in some regards, maybe molested by Republicans?
Stormtroopers. I've been watching the convention. I haven't seen any stormtroopers. Is Darth Vader coming in? Is Ruth Bader Ginsburg coming to the freaking convention? I'm here for you, Donald.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. And this is what really kind of gets me here. If you watch, I watched the Republican convention last night. It's the first time I really dedicated any time to it. And I'm going to be honest. I've got to be honest. We've got to be honest when we talk about things in this show.
Okay.
And one of the things I noticed is, especially was during the Chris Christie speech, where he was presenting. First of all, let me say this: Chris Christie did exactly what the Trump campaign needs to do from this time forward. He came in front of the people and he said, well, since the FBI didn't recommend indicting, and since the Attorney General will not indict, we're going to have court. And it just the bells went off my head. I said, this is what we've been saying. We've got to take this thing to the court of public opinion. And he went down the talking point list. She did this, she did this, she did this. And after each one of them, he said, is she guilty or not guilty? And the crowd would yell, guilty, of course, because it's a Republican convention. Okay, now, here's the funny part. I'm watching the camera pan, and so many people there in cowboy hats and cowboy gear, that kind of stuff. I was kind of thinking maybe Texas was the only people that actually showed up. But here's my point. I would say for every person I saw there under 40, I saw 20 who were over 80. Okay? So I'm sitting here. What's the deal here? Are you afraid that Granny's going to run into you with your walker down at Starbucks or something? I mean, what are you going to be afraid of? All these old people walking around Cleveland, with their little cameras or whatever? I mean, what do you have to be afraid of?
These Geritol stormtroopers, man.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, I bet you the handicap section in the Republican National Convention is the biggest section in the arena.
Oh my goodness. I mean, for crying out loud, you need a ground zero for stormtroopers. This is an unidentified professor. How can you... Seriously, what kind of classes what is he teaching?
I don't know. I want to know what this interreligious council thing is.
It's just like, wow, give me my safe space. Oh, the Republicans are coming. Look out.
So I guess is the interreligious council, is that like all the religions get together? Is it like a club? And you're going to partner up with the LGBT crowd? Okay.
What, are they going to arm wrestle each other? What do they do there? I mean,
yeah, that's like watching these homosexuals walking down the street with signs, Islam and LGBT unite.
I thought the thing about the Queen thing was hilarious.
Yeah, I wanted to get in that. Go ahead, get in that. This is just classic, man.
This takes the cake. But Queen is upset. Trump used "We are the champions" again as he came out to introduce his wife, and it's like, let's see Queen, an unauthorized use at the Republican convention against our wishes. Queen, that's their tweet. It's like. Brian May, who's the guitar player there for Queen, my personal reaction to Donald Trump using our music, we never give permission. We are taking advice on what steps we can take to ensure this use does not continue. And it's like, okay, this isn't the first time that politicians or political conventions use this stuff. But the one that really got me, I thought it was just absolutely this is what made me laugh was Trump's use of the song Monday Night might also caused a backlash online with those on social media criticizing the candidates criticizing the candidate for using the song. Here we go. This is a tweet by author Ann Rice. Heartbreaking that Trump used Freddie Mercury's beautiful "We Are the Champions." Just heartbreaking. Just go to the freaking song.
Yeah. Well, I thought this is something that's going to be funny. If you want to really be a good investigative reporter right now, and you want to. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that can elevate you to up to the upper stratosphere. This can get you. This could get you a column on the Huffington Post if you could pull this off. Okay, I guess what's happening here is that Queen Brian May, the lead guitarist for Queen, says we'd never. Now listen to the words. We'd never give permission. He didn't say we didn't give permission. He said we'd never give permission. Okay, meaning they would never authorize the use of their music by Trump or, according to Brian May, any politician. Okay, we'll give them that. That's not the argument here. Okay, but what's happening? What we find out is that Sean Spicer, the communication director of the RNC, said that they paid for the license use of the song.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, Sony is denying that they allowed it.
Yeah.
Sony's saying we never gave him permission to do this. So here's what you do. If you want to be the next great blogger for the Huffington Post, you go out and find out if Sony actually authorized the use of the song "We Are the Champions" by the Trump campaign.
So were they hacked again or not? So what I'm thinking is what they could use for Hillary, they can get the heart song, "Heartless," yeah, and then use that one, because every time Hillary come out, that should be the song they play for her.
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking more along the lines of Barracuda.
Well, that was a whole nother. There was a thing about that what that song meant.
But here's the thing. See, Sony's maybe find themselves in another situation here. I know they had a situation here a while back. Oh, their servers and stuff were hacked or something like that.
They were hacked by the Koreans.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the point. The RNC is saying we paid for the use of the song. Yes. Sony, the publisher, is saying we didn't authorize it to be used. So the question is, who did the RNC pay, and who authorized the use? Are we looking at Napster? I mean,
jeez. Well, we paid money to somebody. There was a guy on the corner.
That's right.
It was a guy at a safe space at Case Western Reserve University.
Oh yeah, and I mean, this would be the next great scandal for the CNN political panel to talk about for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of actually, well, at the Democratic Convention, they've decided that they were going to take God out of the country, not just their platform, but the entire nation.
Yeah. Okay, we got to go to break. When we come back, I want to build on this just a little bit, because I have something else to offer here. Okay. I mentioned it briefly before, but I really want to get this point out here today, and we're going to talk about some of the other things that took place at the RNC Convention last night. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Expandovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a four-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world. Then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Hey, I want to build on this little fun session we had here just before the break. The uproar over Donald Trump's campaign using "We Are the Champions" as the song that is used more than any other song across the country at things like high school events, college events, football games. I mean, probably anything. But because Donald Trump is using it, all of a sudden it becomes an issue. Okay?
It was used at the Stanley Cup Finals when the Penguins won the Cup this year. It was used when the Cavaliers won the championship.
Yeah, and I know for a fact out here in California. I live right next to a college, I walk across the street, I'm at their football stadium. And if I walk across the street diagonally the other way, I'm at the high school football stadium. And we hear that song every Friday night during football season, sometimes twice a night, depending on whether both stadiums are being used at the same time. This is not a major deal. This is just something. This is indicative of what's going on with the left right now. They're majoring in the minors because they can only minor in the majors. Okay, let's make a big deal about this. I want to take up I want to talk a little bit more about Melania Trump's quote unquote plagiarism charge here, just to give you an idea here, and then I want to talk about one other thing here, and I'm going to try to tie it all together here in a few minutes. So just bear with me. There is a method to my madness, always. Apparently, the speechwriter for Melania Trump got the outtakes of Michelle Obama's speech given back in 2008. There's a couple of lines. There's only a couple of lines that when Melania Trump read it off the teleprompter from the speech she was giving, they are almost exactly the same as what Michelle Obama is. Now, the left is making a big deal about this. My first impression was that it was a matter less than an hour after Melania Trump gave this speech, CNN had assembled an entire panel to talk about this charge of plagiarism. Okay, 7 panel members, and that's what they were digging into. And I'm figuring, my first impression, my first thought was, how come they knew right off the top of their head that the speech had been plagiarized? I mean, was somebody sitting there, with a record of YouTube speeches or something? I mean, who told them in such a short span of time that, oh, hey, guess what? They've plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech. I mean, I don't know. But that's just one of those questions out there we'll never have an answer to. But, along with that, what happens apparently is the speechwriter, her name is McIver. McIver, not MacGyver. McIver, okay?
Quick, give me some chewing gum.
Yeah, and anyway, the speechwriter, I'm trying to get her first name here as I'm looking at the article. She said what happened was Melania Trump had read passages from Michelle Obama's speech over the phone to her as examples of what she wanted to say. Why? Because she doesn't have an outstanding command of the English language. So she happens to like Michelle Obama. And so, she said, Melania likes Michelle Obama. So she was reading examples from speeches that Michelle Obama had given over the phone to the writer. And the writer took the quotes and didn't know that she was actually reading them verbatim and didn't know that they were from Michelle Obama's speeches. She just said she was reading me these lines over the phone. And so I wrote the lines down and I grabbed these and I put them in the speech. Okay, so now it doesn't matter whether this is true or not. That's not the point I'm getting at. I'm not trying to make excuses or justify anything because there's nothing really to be made a big deal about. But here's my point. So the Democrats are now seizing on the similarities in the speech. This is where it gets funny. They're seizing on the similarities in speech. And they're basically, this is what Josh Earnest takes these lines, and this is how he feeds it back to the press corps.
Yeah.
Okay, it certainly buttresses any argument that the president has been making quite frequently of late about the country not being as divided as it might seem. Okay, so what he's saying is basically, if Melania Trump can lift lines from Michelle Obama's speech and attribute them to her own values, to her own beliefs, well, the country's really not as divided as everybody says it is. Okay. Now, there's liberal logic for you.
Yes, okay.
Okay, and all it turns out is Melania liked the wording, and because she doesn't have the great command, she has a good command of the English language, but she doesn't have the great command. She's not a politician. She's never spoken public like this and to this big of a crowd. We're talking about millions of people on TV, not to mention all the people dressed like cowboys down on the stage. Okay?
Yeah, what was she saying in her speech? How much she loved this country, how she worked hard to get to where she was at, and she worked hard to get to become a citizen in this country and did it the right way. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Wow, John. Just an amazing, just how dare she, as Melania Trump, and this is funny, I'm just looking at this. Melania Trump gives one speech, and suddenly Hillary Clinton supporters care about honesty and integrity.
Yeah. Okay. Now, that leads me to my... Thank you, Joe. I didn't know how I was going to lead into my next comment here. You just gave it to me.
Okay.
All right. This is a poll from McGlatchley that just came out.
Yeah.
And it's entitled, Miss Me Yet? Obama polls rise as country sees the alternatives. Okay. Very quickly here, I'm going to read you the 2 paragraphs here. It's only a 2-paragraph article. Go. As America faces the seemingly unpopular choice of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, President Barack Obama is looking better than he has since the start of his presidency, according to a new McGlatchley Marist poll. There are warning signs that the country could want a change in direction. Americans who are worried about the economy, political gridlock, and terrorism think the country is going in the wrong way by a rate of 70 to 25. So 70 to 25 people think the country's going in the wrong direction. But 51% of registered voters say they approve of the job Obama is doing as president, compared to 43% who disapprove. Before this year, the last time more than half of the electorate gave him such high marks was in 2009 after he was first elected to the White House on a message of hope and change. I think President Obama has been extremely thoughtful as a president in a time of great change and conflict in our country. Marilyn Hyman, 54, a Democrat who works on the natural resources issue in Seattle, and he's done it with very little drama. Here's my point. All of a sudden, Obama's popularity rating is skyrocketing. Okay, skyrocketing meaning it's at 51% right now. It was at 43% 2 months ago. Okay, ever since the indictment or lack of indictment, ever since the FBI has come out and testified that Hillary Clinton is not sophisticated enough to understand how to deal with classified material, she was extremely careless, blah, blah, blah. We know what he was doing. He's telling us this lady's a bimbo, that kind of stuff. Ever since then, I'm seeing every other day some poll coming out talking about how not only Obama's approval rating is high, but it's growing, it's getting even higher. His popularity is growing as he's coming to the end of his term. He's becoming even more popular. I'm going to say this before we go to the break here, guys. This is not about Obama's popularity, or this is not about Hillary Clinton's qualifications or anything else. This is just extending the coattail on which they're trying to extend that coattail to give Hillary Clinton something else to hang on as she goes into this the heat of this election season, because nobody likes this woman. Nobody likes this woman. Many of the people that are going to vote for her don't like her. And so the idea is we got to make Obama look so damn popular that by the time, I'm telling you this, by the time September gets here, we're going to see polls that says 80% of registered conservatives think Barack Obama's a great guy. Okay? I guarantee it. Mark it down on your calendar. We set it this day, and watch how by the time we get to the last month of this election cycle, everything's going to be about Barack Obama, and of course Hillary Clinton's just going to be part of the coattail. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
All right, here we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. All right, I want to build on this just a little bit more here. We're talking about Hillary Clinton needing to. This is not a matter of really wanting to, but needing to ride on the coattails of Barack Obama. This whole thing, you're going to see as we get closer and closer to the end of this, it's going to be more and more about Barack Obama than it's going to be about Hillary Clinton. And it's going to be more and more about how popular Obama is. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this concept of being favorably liked, but being rated as not doing your job. How do you get 70% of Americans that say the country's going in the wrong direction, but tell me 51% of them like this guy?
God, it's a BS poll to begin with.
Yeah,
it's total BS.
Yeah, it's like
match, and it's like, hey, do you like ice cream?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, do you like? That's what it's like. It's like this. It's like, do you like ice cream? Yes. Okay. Do you like Dreyer's ice cream more than you like Thrifty ice cream? Well, I like Dreyer's more. Okay. We'll put you over in this group. And every time we have a poll because Dreyer's hired us to do this poll, so we'll put you over in this group, and we'll put some of the Thrifty ice cream people in there just to make it look like we're being impartial.
Yeah, I mean it's a crap poll to begin with.
Yeah,
and we know what the media is doing here. This is a media-driven poll. That's who owns this company.
Yeah, it is. It's the idea is to downplay the job inefficiencies or failures at policy.
Absolutely.
And base it more on, we're back to electing the prom king and queen kind of thing, because most Americans, I bet you most Americans that pick or just say, in this one part of the poll it says, they like Obama, and you ask them, well, is the country going in the wrong direction? They probably couldn't tell you what direction the country's going. They're probably just, I don't know. I don't, I don't watch.
The country's going in the wrong direction, and say you like the guy that's leading you in that direction.
Yeah. And so anyway, one quick note, one last note on the Melania Trump plagiarism charge here. Rush Limbaugh had something I caught on the radio this morning because I was in the car this morning and just happened to catch it. And he made a statement here that back on May 5th, he made a statement about how the left was going to handle the wives of Republican candidates. And he said, and I'm just going to read this to you real quick. He says, my experience with wives of conservatives and wives of Republicans and the Democrat Party and the media is that usually the media and the Democrats will do everything they can to diminish the wife, to diminish the woman. They will imply that she is brain dead and that she's a gold digger, or that she is stupid and dumb and is just following around as arm candy. What accomplishments any Republican conservative candidate's wife has will be ignored, or even worse, they'll do stories to say she wouldn't have anything if it weren't for her husband. Her husband set her up. They'll do everything they can to diminish. It's nothing new. Okay? That's what's happening here with Melania Trump. They're trying to put her on as arm candy. She's a trophy wife. She doesn't know anything. She's got to steal lines from Michelle Obama, because we know Michelle Obama is the most impressive, influential first lady we've had since Jackie Kennedy.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? I mean, that's just really what it's going to be about. And, Melania Trump made some mention about her college. Well, she didn't finish college. She went to college, and what did they do? They grabbed on that. Well, she didn't even finish college. And Michelle Obama's a lawyer.
So?
Yeah, well, Michelle Obama's also a disbarred lawyer, okay? As is Hillary Clinton. As is Bill Clinton, okay? As is Barack Obama. These guys have all been disbarred.
She's Mrs. Trump on her own is worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. Let's put it that way.
So now let me move on here because of time. Let me move on here.
Yes.
To the next thing that I think is just totally disgusting, and that is the left coming after the mother of one of the SEALs that was killed in Benghazi. Okay. This is, oh my God, I had her name here just in front of me here.
Sean Smith's mom.
Huh?
Sean Smith's mom.
Yeah, but I was looking for, Patricia Smith. I'm sorry, that's her name. Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, who was killed in Benghazi. And she gave a talk the other night at the RNC. Now, I'm in all honesty, I'm being as objective as I can here. But I want to point out something here. She came out on this speech and she talked about the fact that she blamed Hillary Clinton for her son's death.
Yes, she did.
Okay, and she said, I've been waiting for Hillary Clinton to explain to me the real reason why my son is dead, because Hillary told me she would tell me that.
Yes.
And she goes, I'm still waiting. She lied to me, and then she called me a liar.
Yep.
Okay? And so, I mean, all legitimate charges. All legitimate, whether you like it or not. The left is out there talking about her like, she's some political assassin out to kill Hillary Clinton. I think you said to me or mentioned to me, Barack Obama is saying that they're trying to drag Hillary through the mud.
No, that was his response to it. When asked, and he said the Republicans, Obama claimed that Republicans will drag her name through the mud because that's the only way they'll convince anyone to vote for their nominee. So again, according to Obama, holding Clinton accountable for the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi is dragging her name through the mud.
Yeah, and let's totally discount the fact that the only way anybody's going to elect Hillary Clinton is if they can prove that Trump is a racist and a sexist. That if they can convince enough people that we don't need a racist and a sexist in the White House, but then if you elect Hillary Clinton, you're going to have one in the White House anyway. His name is Bill.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a former president.
Okay, now I want to mention something else here in context with this. Okay, on November 3rd, 2012, and this was published in Drudge and San Diego Union Tribune. It says a father and mother used the word murder. A brother said he won't second-guess decisions made in the heat of battle. The families of 3 Americans killed in the September 11th U.S. consulate attack in Benghazi, Libya, are offering widely different reactions to recent reports that U.S. personnel issued several requests for help that were turned down. Patricia Smith, the mother of slain State Department employee Sean Patrick Smith, is now blaming President Barack Obama for her son's death. I believe that Obama murdered my son, she said. I firmly believe this. She voted for Barack Obama in 2008 at her son's beckoning. Believe it or not, her son told her to vote for Obama, so she did. So she has accused Barack Obama of being a murderer, and she's accused both Hillary Clinton also Hillary Clinton to be a murderer. Okay? Now, if the left really wanted to run with this, they could probably do something with it. Okay, you can't even decide who killed your son, that kind of thing.
Well, what she's saying, both of them, because she worked for Hillary Clinton worked for Barack Obama. They were both in cahoots with this.
Well, her lividness with Hillary Clinton is more intense than Barack Obama.
Yes, because Hillary Clinton told her right to her face.
Right, and Clinton told her, I will find out what happened. Obama never did that. Obama just gave the rhetoric he always gives.
Yes, she right to her face, John. That's why she's so adamant against Hillary Clinton. I don't blame this woman at all.
No, so I don't either.
Go ahead, Democratic Party. Go ahead. Go after the woman of the dead guy.
Yeah, do that.
Because you do that. That's going to bring your party. It's going to lift your party up to victory. Go for it.
It might work. It might get you some of those Bernie Sanders, Black Lives Matter people that are hanging around with Bill Ayers. But it's more in line with, I think, what we should be doing right now is we should be talking about how the left is beginning to sound like the Westboro Baptist Church.
Anyhow, they can't find anything, so this is what they're going to do.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm getting at, Joe. Thank you for saying that. The main point here is, if you think for one moment that Hillary Clinton, as she's out there every single day telling us she wants to talk about the issues and not talking about the issues, and she's kind of standing off in the distance, letting everybody else run the show for her, riding the coattails of Barack Obama, letting the leftist media go after, be the crash crew that goes after the women of the Republican Party. And anybody that brings to mind anything that reminds America what a corrupt, evil, wicked woman Hillary Clinton really is, this is what you're going to see. This is what the campaign's going to be about. It's going to be very little about. The only time we'll probably hear anything even close to issues is if these two ever face off in a debate. And if I know the media,
September.
If the media has their way about it, we'll get maybe 2 or 3 debates. We won't get a full thing, but I can guarantee you this. It's going to be dirt after dirt after dirt. And I'm just hoping that the Trump campaign is smart enough to do what Chris Christie did last night. They even had a former attorney general on there. I can't remember his name.
Michael McCasey. He came up and did it, and he indicted Hillary Clinton there again. So That's what we need to do here each and every time. We'll just keep bringing up Hillary Clinton's
past,
her illegal past.
Try her in the court of public opinion, because that's the only court that makes any difference right now.
And I think we'll continue to do this tomorrow.
Yeah, we will. We'll do our part, and let's just hope the Trump campaign just lets all the insults go, lets all the accusations go, and get focused on one thing. Every time the left says something, just come back with, hey, remember Hillary, remember this, remember this, remember this. That's all you got to do. Yep. It'll kill the argument. Okay, guys, we are done for tonight. We'll be back on the air tomorrow, 3 o'clock out here in the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. The Conservative Syndicate, theconservativesyndicate.net. Visit our website. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We love you. Good night. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hago, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.